Make America utopia, take away the economy from those who rigged it. As I see it, class warfare, the only resort to right-wing doom. It's worth it. How to talk to your right-wing relatives, friends, and neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willis. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to the United States of America. And of course, good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of the internet, formerly known as the ARPANET, and created by we the people, you and everybody else that form part of it, but now not controlled by us any longer because billionaires decided to take it with their thievings way. Anyway, before we get started, let's throw it to the studio. Good morning, my dear brothers, El Senor Howard Reynolds and Jacques Van Beba.
And I have to heap praise upon Jack again this morning. Ah, yes. You are now in the control of Stanley Laurel and Oliver Hardy. Yeah, Jack was he was flying solo yesterday, doing a very fine job. And Jack, I couldn't run this place without you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I know you're not used to that sort of thing, but it is true.
I didn't get loads of praise put on me when I was a kid, for sure.
Well, I did actually.
That's why you can do it.
I was actually one of those lucky people who had a wonderful childhood and would do it all over again if I had a chance. So, except that I really like being an adult and doing adult things. But it's still, Jack, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It is
It's an honor.
Wednesday the 19th of February, 2025, and yet our government continues to be poisoned by the Trojan horse that they elected. One more time, Trump's demands on the peace settlement in the Ukraine. You're going to give us $500 billion and half of your minerals. Yeah, that's going to work. How absurd.
Man, I tell you, I just thought we were back in the 1800s again, the colonial period, 1900. But wow, I mean, you know what's so funny about Trump? We
Is there
always
something
did,
funny?
well, it's really not
I
funny,
can't think of
right?
anything.
But I mean,
Yeah, I
we
can't
used
think of
to
anything
do,
funny about the man.
yeah, we used to do things like that, but we never did it so overtly. Nobody knew about how Panama got formed with a frigate in the Bay of Cologne, or off the coast of Cologne.
Hmm.
It was speak quietly and carry a big stick. Now Trump just says it
Steal,
out loud.
steal softly, they say.
Yeah, what can I say? But
Still
anyhow,
quietly.
Yeah, well, Jack's got a dang near a full page of wisdom here, so I think we should hear that instead of my prattle this morning.
All right. Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
good morning, my brother. We are a lot better given that we are about to be enlightened.
Yeah, I'm fixing to tell you what's on Politics Done Right. Jasmine Crockett is right and has a strategy to flip the House before the midterms by engaging with rural and working class voters. She argues that Democrats must stop conceding red districts, directly address voter concerns, expose the GOP's harmful policies like cuts to social services, closing of rural hospitals, and corporate greed. Democrats must stand unapologetically for working people, engage rural communities, and fight for every vote. Expose the GOP's hypocrisy, educate voters on progressive policies that serve the citizen workers' interests. Democrats must protect Social Security and Medicare at all cost or risk abandonment of their own constituents.
I could not have said that any better, brother Jack.
You
Anyway, folks,
did.
I don't know about that, but anyhow, we're going to have a great show for you today, friends. We are going to have a great show. Look, I want to welcome Lee the Bearcat in the chat. He says, Chilly today. Stay warm. Lee the Bearcat, I think, is in Austin, Texas. By the way, that's my alma mater, the University of Texas at Austin. And let me tell you, if I could have stayed in Austin, I would have stayed in Austin. I just loved that town. Well, it was kind of like a town in the 80s. Now it's a little bit bigger, but Mount Bunnell and the West Austin and the Hill Country, I just love that part of the state. That's why I go there every so often. But anyhow, Lee the Bearcat, lucky you. Anyway, look, folks, we are gonna have a great show for you today. Title of the show today is, and maybe I'll find it someday. Representative Jasmine Crockett has a plan to win the House now. Sanders' message to the working class. And, we're all touching the same subjects. A lot of people decide when they are dealing with our fellow Americans, are you blue? Are you red? My thing is mostly, are you human? Do you care about other people? That's what I really want to know. Look, I, I don't know why hate is so easy, right? You go around town, I don't really care what you want to call yourself. If you treat me right, I'll treat you right. And I think if we did more of that, sort of the roughness would kind of leave. Because I don't know anything about you. You don't know anything about me. I'm talking here, you know, I'm talking here in the aggregate superficially. Ask yourself a question. Why is it that just from looking at somebody, maybe how they look, what you think their ideology is, makes you immediately not want to like that person or hate that person? What is it within a psyche that allows that? Are we born that way? Nah, we're not. You throw two kids in a pen, it doesn't matter if they speak the same language or not. We actually did that. They get along, and you know what? They usually find a common language. That common language may be, the way they move their hands. That common language may be something neither one of them understands. You know, this hate thing has to be promoted. It has to be, it has to have some genesis outside of your psyche and use something outside of your view to make it real. That is what has always been done. The monarchy does that, the feudals do that or did that. And that's what Trump uh, is very adept at. He read on, from what I understand, Mein Kampf, so he knows, or he's learned the tricks of, hitting people where they're most vulnerable. We have to get better than that, and we have to be able to get around that. The hate is gonna the hate is gonna kill the lower classes. The hate is gonna kill the middle classes. The hate is gonna kill everyone but those on the top who are the ones really promoting it. Think about that. Think about that. Why do you hate somebody you don't know? Why do you hate somebody you don't know anything about? And that's where, we should really start trying to clean ourselves up. Hate, where does it come from? Welcome aboard, Joe from Los Angeles, California. I hope you're doing fine. Lee the Bearcat says, sad thing, killer being let go in Austin on $100 bail that was lowered from hundreds of thousands. Why? I don't know. Austin man charged with first degree murder gets bond reduced from $800,000 to $100. You know, I speak to quite a few judges here in Houston, Lee the Bearcat. What I suggest, what I suggest is that you go to the legislature in Austin, who passes the laws that judges must implement, or rather, judges must interpret, and they themselves have to follow the law as interpreted. So before you jump on the judges, I suggest you go to the legislature and jump on them. Mark Ali Curtis says, I love you cause you hate the same things I do. You know, that is a mentality that we have been taught to have. If you're in my tribe, then I am with you. We got to get around that. Anyway, folks, that's my little quasi rant on hate this morning. That just kind of come to me, and I wanted to use the platform to speak a little bit about it. I hope I made some kind of sense. Anyway, look, Donald Trump did something that I don't know was all that smart, right? He went ahead and picked a whole lot of people he wanted in his cabinet and running his departments out of the House. They lost traction in the House this last election. I think they only had like 5, 6, or somewhere around there, the amount of people. Then he went ahead and appointed some, and now these positions have to be filled. 3 positions are up for grab, as I understand it right now. And if those 3 positions go to Democrats, guess what happens? The House flips in less than a few months. And Jasmine Crockett picked up on that. And her solution, for those of you who listen to our show diligently, both morning and night, you would have caught sometime were the same things that you're going to hear her say about engaging rural America, engaging our brothers and sisters on the right, engaging those MAGA folks, because the reality is the differences shouldn't be there. She picked up on that as well. And that is what she wants to do. So last night she was interviewed on Chris Hayes' show, but it was Ali Velci that was there. I want you to listen to this, because as I listened to this, I just smiled, and I just said to myself, if she does this, if Democrats do this, they go out there and earn those votes of those folks that believe they're MAGA, it will be a change, and I'm talking about a real change. Listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side. Leaders like Jasmine Crockett in the Congress gives me hope that the Democratic Party, if they follow her lead. Okay, it seems like I don't have that cued correctly. Let me go ahead and cue that correctly. Oops, yeah, I didn't have the right channels set up for that. How did that happen? Well, like, Berto, you did that. You forgot to click those 4 buttons. Okay, I did now. Here we go. Leaders like Jasmine Crockett in the Congress gives me hope that the Democratic Party, if they follow her lead, will do well. You know, right now, everybody is in limbo, but she's out there in the field with the proper communication, with the proper narrative. And today, she gave a doozy on Chris Hayes' show. It was today narrated by Ali Velci. But I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side, because this is extremely important what she's saying. It is something that I've been preaching now for several years, and it just seems like the Democratic Party, run by all the wrong consultants, refused to do what needed to be done, and she nails it. Check this out.
A lot of people are talking about, you know what, we just are looking forward to the midterms. We only need 3 more seats. I'm sure everybody's tired of getting emails, text messages, phone calls, trying to raise money. But the reality is that we have an opportunity right now. I know that a lot of people look at these seats that are available, which there's going to be a total of 3, and they say these are deep red seats. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. We saw that in the state of Iowa, they swung a seat 27 points so that a Democrat could win. I say we have nothing to lose. We need to go out. We need to talk to those people that finally understand that the only mission that Donald Trump has is making sure that he can line his pockets, line Elon's pockets, and any other billionaire, all at our expense. It's not just going to be the people you dislike that are going to miss out on their Medicare, Medicaid, or their Social Security. Or down in the state of Florida, where 2 of these seats are, they are talking talking about getting rid of FEMA. It is time to wake up. And it doesn't mean that you're a Democrat if you vote democratically.
So this is where I want to get to. Who's the audience to swing some of these states? Is it progressives who understand that their priorities are being crushed? Or is it people who voted Republican to whom you say, you didn't vote for this, did you? Exactly. You didn't vote for Elon Musk and a guy named Big Balls to have your documentation. Yeah. How does that message get out there in a way that entire audience hears it?
I think that you're right. Definitely the entire audience. I just don't know how many progressives exist in Matt Gaetz' former district, right? But I do think that there are farmers in that district, farmers that are concerned because they rely upon monies as it relates to USAID and other monies that are now being dismantled. And it means that you may lose your family farm. It may be bought up by a corporate organization. And so I think just having very real conversations, we've seen people who have talked about, well, we don't want you firing the people at the VA, or maybe it's somebody that has to fly all the time and they're concerned because we have a record number of planes literally falling out of the sky because he decided he was going to appoint some guy from Fox to be over transportation. But at the end of the day, there were those that never believed that we could end up with 2 senators in the state of Georgia, and we did. There were those that never believed we could have a Democrat representing Alabama, and in that special election, we did. So I think if there's any point in time that the people should rise up and figure out where should I focus my attention, it's on these special elections, and it's having real conversations on the doors with real people talking about what's really happening and not the lies that they're putting out there. We've got to go into their territory. We've got to explain to people in rural America, the reason that you don't have hospitals is because of their policies. The reasons you're not going to have schools is because of their policies. The reason that you had access to more jobs, more healthcare, as well as the next level of farming was because Democrats were the ones that wanted to make sure that you could have broadband access. We've got to start having the conversations instead of just ceding the territory, because the reality is that right now they're trying to cut SNAP benefits. You know who uses more SNAP benefits than anybody else? It's rural America. It's not urban America. We have a story for every single person who's not a billionaire in this country, and it's time for us to tell it.
Jasmine Crockett nails it. Yes, you have to go into every neighborhood, every district, every single part of this country and earn those votes. We have a lot of work to do because we have seeded rural areas. We have seeded many in the working class for so long that we have to build up a level of trust that's going to take some time. But as she pointed out, that district in Iowa that was completely turned around, what Americans are starting to see with this complete decimation of the United States agencies, etc., many of these people, when they realize, oh, by the way, I am on SNAP, my parents are on SNAP, a few of my people are on Medicaid, my mother's on Social Security, when they start figuring out all these things, that it actually affects them more than anybody else. And of course, we must add that we should not forget that Donald Trump promised that on day one, grocery prices would fall. On day one, he would do all these great things. Yeah, hyperbole, of course. Does his people believe what he was talking about was hyperbole? Well, some of them maybe, but people were expecting results. They knew, many of them knew they were making a bad choice, but at least they thought they were going to get some sort of result to justify the error that they made. So it leaves a crack in the door for you to go in there. And as you know, all the Republicans right now are Trump sycophants, whether they really are or not. On outwardly, they're constantly sucking on Donald Trump. So here is the deal, folks. Now is the time. Jasmine Crockett, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett nails it. Those 3 House seats that are going to be up for election, we could have a monumental change in the next few months where Congress flips from Republican to Democrat if we stop seeding folks by saying that's a red county, that's a red district, go earn that vote. Let these people in these rural areas, in these very red areas, understand that what you're bringing is not hope. You're bringing solutions. What you're bringing are not lies. They're solutions. And you know what? After seeing Trump in action for just 3 weeks, and after they would have seen him in action for just a few months, I am pretty sure they're going to say unified government right now with Trump at the head, it's not going to work. Jasmine Crockett, Representative, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, the best communicator in the House. Absolutely the best communicator in the House. Welcome aboard Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Texas. Welcome aboard Gayla Kunis from Evans, Georgia. Welcome aboard. I think I saluted you, Joe, from Los Angeles, California already, and Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas. Mark Ali Curtis, where are you from? I don't know. Why don't you tell me? Anyhow, let's see. So yeah, Jasmine is absolutely right. We have to go out there, earn the vote, and get away from the animosity. These people made. Look, have you ever made a silly vote? Uh, I won't tell you about my most silly votes. I tell you what. We are going into Fund Drive on Thursday, and by the way, we will be having good shows even during the Fund Drives, guy. So I know whenever we get into Fund Drive mode, a whole lot of people say, we got to leave the station because we're tired of them asking for money. Look, call up early, donate, and we get into the show. We're going to still have the show. We're going to be still taking those calls. We're going to be still doing that. But we got to make some money starting Thursday as well. But I tell you what, when I reach a certain point in my goal, I'll tell you what my worst vote was. You guys are going to say, Egberto, I can't believe you did that. Anyhow, let's go to El Señor Harry. And by the way, folks, the telephone number is 713-526-5738. Again, that number is 713-526-5738. Give me a call before I get to the further on. And don't wait till the end of the show where I have to start rushing. So let's talk about it. 713-526-5738. Come on in, my dear brother, Harry.
Good morning, the two Highnesses in the studio. Howard, good to have you back. When you're there with Jack, you guys do a tremendous job keeping the tin cans of string going. And as Egberto just spoke about, the fund drive to pay for the transmitter and all this to keep the politics done right going. And good morning, El Professor, El Senor Egberto Willis. Well, there's two things I wanted to touch on. Yeah, you're right. Jasmine Crockett is right. My friend Neil in Florida needs to listen to Ali Velci. I've given him a lot of people to talk to that are on the left or talking points that he needs to listen to. But I tell him you shouldn't stop listening to stuff like Sean Hannity and stuff like that. You need to listen to that and then listen to the left and then decide who is telling the truth. I always tell him that. But anyway, you have to get Jasmine Crockett has to, like you said, earn the vote, get out there, and hit people in the head that Donald Trump deceived you on the campaign trail. He deceived you when he was president last time. All he cares about is billionaires. But let me go into what you were talking about a little bit ago, Roberto, about the hate. There was this show on Oprah Winfrey when she had her show back in 1987. Max Robinson, I know you know who he is, he was a news anchor. They had these two other black men on there. It was discriminating against black. The show was mainly discriminating against black people, and there were a lot of good talking points because that show was 1 hour. But I'll mention one point. You were talking about how did we get like that and those kinds of things. Well, it's programming. It can be when you're a kid, you watch Looney Tunes, stereotypes. But anyway, this woman who was a white lady, she was talking to this guy who was on the show. She called in. This guy had dreadlocks, and she was mentioning that guy with the hair, with the dreadlocks. If I was on a bus, I would probably grab my purse and and get away from him and walk up with us. So then the guy with the dreadlocks said, look, you are more likely to be raped by your boyfriend, your husband. You are only making that statement because you're looking at the way I look. Just as one of the things I heard growing up all the time, and this is the stereotypes, and it has to do with putting drugs in the black community, with the crack epidemic, cocaine, and in the brown community, that what would happen when you see especially a dark-skinned black man like yourself, Egberto, walking down the street, then if there are people, because of the fear of Donald Trump to stimulate racism, they'll cross the street and just to walk away from you because they think they're gonna harm you. When I used to work at UCSF, my buddy, this was during the time when Trayvon Martin was killed. Anthony was telling me I got my hood on, and now that I've walked out of UCSF and my job is over for the day, I'm just another black man walking down the street with a hoodie, and I'll frighten people because Trayvon Martin got his hood on and was killed by that wicked George Zimmerman, the neighborhood watchman. And then the stereotype is, oh, this black man is wearing sweats, or so he must be dangerous. Ahmed Arbery, who was just running through his community in Brunswick, Georgia.
Exactly.
And they've been made, they stereotype black people that they have sweats on, that somehow they're trying to rob you if you happen to be white.
All right. I got the gist of what you're saying, Harry. Got to go to the other person, but thank you for calling, and as usual, thank you for your words. All right. Thank you, brother. Peace. All right. Before we go to Anthony, I do want to expand on something because I think it's apropos that Harry had to say about stereotyping, etc. Right? To show how silly racism really is, that people use it as a profit center. You have some thieves around there working together, white guy, black guy. The black guy knows that if he goes into the store, that he's going to be the one everybody is watching. You know, that they're going to have their eyes on him. So as he goes into the store, the white guy goes and he cleans up and he rips off this stuff here, that stuff here, the other. Racism is a dangerous thing. Stereotyping is a dangerous thing because those of us who work together, who don't have those proclivities or have attenuated those proclivities, can actually use the racism of other people in a capitalist structure at that to make money. And that is what the plutocracy does. They put hate in your heart. They allow your hate to allow them to rip you off. That's what it's all about. We are all again, we all share the same values, but they use hate as that magic. Come on in, Anthony.
Yeah, I've been following what you've been saying, and Representative Crockett, I've watched her on the House floor. She spears the Republicans. She goes straight to the point. She doesn't mess around. She basically makes fools out of them. And a couple of times, somebody like Stefanik will try to hit back, and she just she doesn't give them any ground. And so she's right. I mean, I think a lot of the younger viewers that are listening don't realize that Texas hasn't always been a red state.
Mm-hmm.
There's a woman called Ann Richards.
Oh, I love her.
Our governor from 1991 to 1995.
Love her, man. Oh, yes.
Texas Monthly issue came out. She was sitting on her Harley. I ride Harley Davidson. And she was a great woman, and she was from the Texas Panhandle. She wasn't from a large city. She wasn't from Dallas or Houston or San Antonio or Austin. She was from the rural part of Texas, but she knew how to connect to Texans. And so I totally agree with Representative Crockett. The in the state of Texas, the Democratic Party in the late 90s, they just, for some reason, they were sleepwalking, and the Republicans just slowly crept in, and before you knew it, we're a red state. And she said it herself, we're not really a red state. We're really a purple state. But because of gerrymandering that's been going on in this state, I mean, you literally have congressional districts that start up in Austin and go all the way down into Houston.
Yes.
Crazy the way they're doing it. So they're making it almost impossible for the Democrats to win. But she's right. We have to let these people know that just voted for Trump. Hey, look, this is what you voted for. Is this what you really wanted? I mean, I'm from Houston, but I now live in Austin, in the Hill Country, and I love it up here. But when I lived in Houston, I had a neighbor right across the street. They were Hispanic family, and they had Trump signs in their front yard, and it just didn't make any sense to me. I couldn't understand why they were all in for Trump. But I have to believe that she's right. If you engage with these Trump voters and you make them, you get them and you sit them down and you explain to them, look, you're voting against your own interest, whether you realized it or not. This guy, he's showing everyone who he truly is. He's not being subtle about it at all. So this is our chance to shine the light on what he's doing, his policies, and how it's not just going to hurt the libs. It's not about owning the libs. His policies are going to hurt you. They're going to hurt your mother, your grandmother, your relatives that are on Social Security, your relatives that may be on Medicare or Medicaid. It's going to hurt them, not just the libs. So
And that's that one of the things that I did. I gave a talk at a Indivisible meeting recently, and one of the things that I pointed out is that it's not only that she's right. You have to go talk to them, convince them, and I'm not talking about using analytical data solely to talk to these folks. I'm talking about using before even talking to them, learning about them, learning about what makes them tick. Just like you would have hoped they wanted to learn what made you tick. Because here's the thing. I can go and give all kind of numbers to folks, right? They don't relate to it. A lot of folks don't relate to the marginal propensity to consume or the GDP or they don't, that goes right over their heads, right? But then you go ahead and say, what is it that why is it that you vote for Trump? And, that people say prices, etc. I mean, a lot of that was bunk when it came to Harris and Trump, because again, when they took Harris's name off her policies, the things that she was proposing won heads down. But again, I digress. Having a conversation, which I do very frequently. I live in a very red area, so most of the people that I'm encountering are actual Trump supporters, right? And when we sit down and talk, it's amazing. First of all, how when they don't have the peer pressure, how they're willing to tell you things and say, God, I see that. Yeah, right. And imagine if my kid could have gotten that. And then the one thing that I always use is to remind them, when you go into that voting booth, that vote is between you, that machine, and your supreme being. Nobody knows. You can go in there and vote anyway and come out and say, yeah, voted for Trump, but do the right thing, right? It's so important for us to give people a place to land so that whatever they do, however they say it, they don't feel left out or they don't feel naked from making a change. Anything else, Anthony, before we move on?
Well, I'll just say one thing. As I told you before, I'm a very visual person. And one argument that's very visible in rural Texas is the over 100 rural hospitals that have closed down
Yes.
because Governor Perry refused to expand Medicare to the state of Texas. When that happened, literally hospital after hospital after hospital in rural counties had to start closing down because they couldn't stay open. If you show the pictures of these closed down hospitals to these people in these rural counties and say, this is why you're having to drive 300 miles to take your grandmother to the hospital, because this rural hospital that had been open for almost 100 years had to close down because of Republican policies, I think that would hit home with them.
Actually, you are so right, Anthony. You're so right. I have a couple of blogs in the last 3 weeks that I wrote about that. And the other thing that I talk about, castigating Democrats for all practical purposes being lazy. If a hospital closes in Yoakum, I always use Yoakum, Texas, because it's one of the smallest towns that I know. But a hospital closes in Yoakum, Texas, or wherever. Immediately, there should be Democrats from the House of Representatives or from the Texas legislature going out there with cameras and pointing out this courtesy of Don Patrick, Greg Abbott, and your representative voting against the Medicaid expansion to the Affordable Care Act. This is why, and then you have it there to tell these people. You have the receipts to show why this particular hospital had to close for the lack of monies, and then tie that into. Remember John, who died because he was 49 minutes away from the hospital. That
Yep.
would have been right here. These
The hospital is impacting the EMS services too.
exactly.
EMS
Eh,
services are struggling because if the hospital closes, that's part of their revenue, and then that just makes it's a domino effect. And so those
mhm.
people in the rural counties, they need to understand that, and you're 100% right. Have a press conference, have the administrator of that hospital that just closed down, have him standing there and put him in front of the microphone so he can tell his viewers, the people out there, we closed down because of A, B, C, and D.
Mhm.
Hearing a politician is one thing, but hearing it from the hospital administrator or the chief ER physician of that
Right.
hospital closed, hearing it from them, that I think that drives the point home. So that's
And
all I have.
and then one other thing, Anthony, and not leave the space. And not leave the space. In other words, after you go in there and you explain why this hospital has closed, go out there and earn those people's votes. Go out there and stay in that county, put an office in that county, and earn those people's votes. That's all. Thank you, Anthony.
Okay, thank you.
You have a wonderful day. All right, let's go to Patty. Come on in, Patty.
Good morning. I am represented in Washington by a MAGA Republican, and I encourage him almost every day, every chance I get, to be the Republican he proclaims to be, which he says his favorite president was Abraham Lincoln. I have no problem with being represented by an Abraham Lincoln Republican, but I do have a problem with being represented by a rhino, which is a MAGA. Don Jr. did say it out loud that it's no longer the Republican Party, it's the party of Trump.
Mhm.
So I think there's nothing wrong. We need two legitimate parties, both representing the Constitution and their oaths. And if we could just get more Republican Congress people to keep their oath of office and do what they proclaim to believe in, we wouldn't be where we are right now.
I think you nailed it, and I love that what you also said. We need Republican politicians. Things are always better when there's a push and a pull because it forces you to research it. Look, I'm a you listen to my show. I'm a lefty, but I'm going to tell you something. I have learned a lot from true Republicans over my several years here in the United States, and I've changed some of my beliefs based on that, right? There are certain things within the conservative ideology that I wholeheartedly support and say, oh, I can see why. I got it. I got it. But again, you just nailed it. It has to be something truthful. What we have in those who represent MAGA, and I'm not talking about the rank and file, I'm talking about the leadership who misleads. What we have is really a fraud. And what Donald Trump through Musk is doing, and the reason they're trying to go through all these things so fast is because they understand the decimation that it's going to have on the people who voted for them. And they understand that if they don't get it through quickly, that by then sufficient momentum will build up to prevent them from doing the evil stuff that they want to do with Medicaid, with SNAP, with Medicare, with the FAA and all these other institutions. So look, I'm with you, Patty. Anything else you want to say, my dear friend?
Yes, the administration keeps saying that they were elected to do what they're doing, and that is another lie. They lied all summer about Project 2025, and now here it is in the Capitol, in the White House, overseas, doing what they proclaimed they were not involved with. People who voted for this administration did not vote for what is being done now. It was just they voted for lies.
And it's important that we point out as well, Patty, that they won the election. Nobody's going to take it away from them, even though Greg Palast, who I have on the agenda to interview, begs to differ. But as far as we know, they won the election, but it was not a landslide, nor was it a majority of Americans, nor it's a majority of those who voted. So let's be clear here. There was no mandate. But anyway, thank you so kindly, Paula, for calling in. You keep listening and sharing, all right?
Thank you. Bye.
Have a wonderful day. All right, let's go to Paula. Come on in, Paula. Paula, you're on. Are you muted, Paula? Okay, line two. Maybe did we get your name wrong? Everybody talk. Let's see if we just happen to have gotten your name wrong. Okay, maybe line three is not working. So let's go ahead and go to Brian on line two. Come on in, Brian.
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah. You know what a line item budget is? We
Of course.
talked about this last week. Yeah.
Yeah, go.
And you cut me off before I could, yeah. And you cut me off before I could explain it. Okay. How many trillions of dollars have been line items spent so far?
You tell me.
Somewhere around 4.2 trillion. And
Okay.
there's more than 15 million. Yeah, there's more than 15 million people that are eligible to be on Social Security. And you said that's ridiculous. You said that yesterday. And it's been proven. You can go to the New York Post, New York Times. They're not reporting on it because it makes Biden look bad that he spent somewhere around $50 million on loans for his personal friends. So, but again, the left wing, they're not saying this. They're not talking about it. They want to know why your taxes are being looked at. But you remember that somebody sued President Trump to see his taxes, but now certainly you don't want your taxes looked at, right?
I find it ironic that somebody who purport themselves to be a conservative, a MAGA, and a Republican, now that Donald Trump is in office, that you want somebody going into your records. I find it astounding. Look, I don't care about like I said, everything for me is an open door. But I just find it astounding how you guys can change your ideology based on whether Trump is in office or not, or whether he likes it or not. But thank you so kindly for your call, Brian. Let's go to Alan. Let's go to Alan. Alan, you're on line 3. Maybe like,
Okay.
yeah, go
Hi,
ahead.
how you doing, Egberto?
I'm doing fine, sir. Thank you.
Say something. People like Elon Musk are going on and on about how USAID and all that is just handouts and all the rest of that. And I can't go into the whole song and dance about how Panama was created. But Panama was created just in the long stroke as a way to advantage the United States. I don't know if you may know this. I don't know if the audience knows this. Panama was created basically on the third floor of the original Macy's department store in New York.
Well, let me just say real quickly, Panama was created because Colombia did not allow America to build a canal in Panama, in the province of Panama, which was a part of Colombia. So they supported an independence movement, put a frigate on the coast of Colon, and the Panamanians declared independence. After they declared independence, Panama signed a long-term treaty to control the canal and to build the canal, control the canal 5 miles on each side. That's a synopsis. Okay,
And it was
continue,
done
Kyle.
through private interests.
It's everything here is done for that. You are
Private
correct.
interests,
Yes, sir.
a bunch of businessmen. So all of that was created to advantage a few American businessmen who wanted to. The French had wanted to do it, but they didn't have the money, to do it. So, American businessmen went and did it, and that all went to advantage the United States. So how is Panama just looking for a handout from the United States when in reality it's always been about the United States trying to get a handout from the people of South America, and they created Panama as a result of it. I mean, it's totally illogical. And they
You
just
know,
tell
Kyle,
anything and people will believe it. And
Kyle,
that's
it's
what
good.
Trump's doing now.
Exactly. It's good that we have people like you. I mean, Alan, it's good that we have people like you who understand that. But Alan, my phones are completely filled up. So thank you so kindly for those words. Let's go to
Okay, we can talk about it at another time. But
yes, sir. Thank you,
wanted to get
Alan.
that out there for the
Appreciate you, Alan. Let's go to Kyle. Come on in, Kyle, real quick. Running out of time.
Hello.
Yes, yes. Go ahead, Kyle. Turn the radio down, but go ahead.
Yes, sir. I have tuned in and I have listened to about Trump. Yes, I am not really for Trump, but he is the president, so I guess I shall be for Trump. Although I do not decide to ever vote for any other presidential election in the future but myself, although because I want to become president of the United States of America.
Okay, well, good for you, my dear Kyle. When you're ready to declare your candidacy, give us a call. Thank you so kindly, Kyle. Let's go to Bruce. Come on in, Bruce.
Good morning, Alberto.
Good morning, my brother. Talk to me.
If I should ever run for president, Brian can see my taxes. My mother passed away in 2000, and my dad in 1997. I want to know how I can keep getting their Social Security benefits, since it seems like it's an easy thing to do till they're 150 years old or whatever. The other thing I have to say is, thank you, by the way, for bringing up the thing about rural hospitals. It's very informative, and that previous caller was very knowledgeable. When I talk to people on the street from the right, they don't talk to me about policy. They don't care about it. All they care about is, look how he's messing with those liberals. Look how he's got them all alarmed, and they start cackling like they think it's funny. Well, when everything comes home to roost, it starts affecting them. They'll have a different view. I'm getting off because you have more callers, but thank you.
Thank you very much, Bruce. And what you do is nail it. I knew when Obama was going to win because a lot of that kind of talk, people said even though they want to give it to the libs, there was a reason they voted for Obama because it really they started to see where their personal economies were affected. Let's go to Patrick. Come on in, Patrick.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Talk to me, my brother.
I didn't want to take up too much time, but 4 or 5 days ago, Congress voted on a bill that is now on its way to the Senate that's going to ban mRNA vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
Those vaccines have been around since the 70s, so they've been honing and working on them for 50 years. Nobody even heard the name until COVID came around and the president tried to spread disinformation about these vaccines, and a lot of people took the bait. But they're about to take a key defense in the world out of our health system, and it should be scaring all of us, and we should all be contacting our.
I am glad, Patrick. I'm glad that you mentioned that because I'll be honest with you, I didn't know that. I don't know if you sent me an email on that before or not, but it
sir.
went past me. So thank you for bringing that up. I'll go do some research on that as well and put that out there. I didn't know that. So thank you for bringing that up. As I always tell our listeners, we have the best damn listeners on the planet. Thank you, brother.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. All right, let's go to Ray. Come on in, Ray. Brother Ray.
Yeah, top of the morning, Egberto. Yeah, I wanted to touch on something you had said the other day, and it really resonates with me in the sense that, the acceleration of anabolic, which not antiseptic slavery.
Mm-hmm.
Said that, at some point, there used to be one income household where the daddy would come in, he would be the breadwinner. It became mama was the breadwinner, she was working part-time. Then it became mama was working full-time and daddy was working full-time. Then daddy was working overtime. And you kind of just, went over that regression, I should say, of economic stability in the sense that a person coming into this world basically either needs to have two incomes in this particular society, or you have to pair up with somebody just to be able to survive and have a decent, livable, enjoyable life. And they did that on purpose because they weren't satisfied with just having the father or the male. They wanted to bring everybody into the workforce, not because they wanted equality, but because they wanted to be able to exploit everybody, including child labor if they could. And I love how you brought that to the surface, and we need to reverse that. I'm for the one job movement. Everybody who comes into the society should only be required to have one job that will sustain their quality of life, and anything else after that is extra.
Ray, I'm running out of time, but you nailed it, and I agree with you, sir. And we will continue to work towards ensuring that we have a better economy. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, and you know that. Let's go to Alex. Come on in, Alex.
Hello. I shall be in a competition, a business plan competition, WCE, and I plan to beat about 25 other contestants.
Thank you, Alex. Have a wonderful day, my friend. Let's go to Bard. Come on in, Bard.
Yes, sir. The U.S. Treasury can't track $4.7 trillion in payments. Medicare has sent $2.7 trillion overseas to people that are not eligible. The Pentagon, Howard, has lost track of $2.5 trillion. And Social Security is sending $100 billion a year to people who are not eligible with no identity. Yes, sir. Trump got 312 electoral votes. That is a landslide. This is what we voted for, to find out what's going on with this money.
It's amazing that you never get my brother Bard. You never get tired of being wrong. First of all, every statistic that you just mentioned is a lie, proven to be a lie. In fact, Musk just came out and said he saved $8 billion out of the other thing. When the New York Times looked over the data, it was $8 million. Look, you guys are My dear brother, you're my brother, but you're gullible, and you believe everything they lie to you and tell you. I am sorry. We can't run a country with that kind of a mentality. Please, please, please research, study, learn what it looks like. Have a wonderful day, my dear brother. We need to go to the studio now. Studio, come on in, my dear brothers.
Oh, nothing here. I have nothing. Jack, what you got, man?
I was just wondering what the elections were that they're going to try to flip the House with.
I think one of them's in Florida.
Yeah, I think there are two in Florida. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a list on the internet that tells which ones they are. So I would say vote Democrat, vote against the Republicans, vote against them now. And I'm a former Republican. I always believed that the Republican Party was the way to go, right up until George W. Bush, the clown. One of the stupidest presidents we've ever had. And also, well, one of them anyway. Let's throw it back to you before I get in trouble here.
Don't get in trouble. Anyway, folks, look.
Oh yeah. Somebody's gonna call in and bitch at me about that.
Look, let me tell you. Howard. When we're in the studio together, Howard always have that real Republican vibe. Let me just tell you, I'm talking about the kind of Republicans that we sit down and have coffee and talk about ideas and all that kind of stuff. The guys without a party, man. We need to get a party
I know.
We need to get a party for my brother Howard, man. Jesus.
I was just thinking about maybe the Green Party or something,
Anyway, look, let me tell you guys, love you all out there, but look, we got to get rid of the hate. We got to really think about what's good for people. You listen to Bard, you understand the kind of problem that we're going to hit with certain people. But most people, folks, are there. They just want to have a good life, and they don't have any animosity towards others. Anyway, folks, love you all. Please go to politicsandright.com/newsletter is where the rest of the program is at. politicsandright.com/newsletter. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics and Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out!
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping